This time I'd like to invite Norm Klocke forward. He has a powerful word to share about his own experience with mental health, as we have touched on these issues today. Also, it's an update on the justice work that we are doing together with congregations across Topeka and Shawnee County to make a difference in our communities. Norm, we hear you gladly.
Good morning, friends. Good morning. So today I'm reporting on Susanna Wesley's participating in JUMP. JUMP is the Justice Unity Ministry Project in Topeka and Shawnee County. Susanna Wesley is one of 29 faith-based communities in JUMP. JUMP's year started last fall when Susanna Wesley members and friends gathered here for storytelling in our house meeting. We each told stories about particular social injustices that need attention. These stories came from personal experiences or our concerns for others. Similar meetings were held by other congregations, and those house meetings yielded over 300 stories. JUMP team leaders, including Linda and me, met to consider the issues that dominated these 300 stories. During our Community Problems Assembly in October, JUMP Network members voted on whether one of these dominant issues needed to become a priority for JUMP. Homelessness is our new initiative for this year. Network members for Susanna Wesley are Linda Holmquist, Bob Novak, Judy Bennett, Jerry Tubach, Judy Hutchison, Julie McCullough, Ralph Anderson, Steve Hendry, Ardith Holmes, Mark Kostler, and me. Well, those in attendance, our network members, please stand and be recognized. These folks are working on behalf of all of us. Susanna Wesley Network members have joined JUMP action committees for each of the following 5 priorities. This year, we continue our work with mental health crisis intervention, reducing violence, building affordable housing, and reining in predatory lending practices. The action committees investigate methods to confront these issues and find out what organizations we could be partners in these efforts. In 2021, mental health bubbled to the surface as a priority for JUMP. Of course, mental health is an ongoing concern with many facets. JUMP's Action Committee identified the lack of crisis intervention center in Shawnee County. Many people who are in a mental health crisis are not cooperative in seeking treatment. They may be in a danger to themselves or others. Currently, many of those individuals are arrested. While in jail, they may or may not receive health care during and following their crisis. In our scripture reading this morning, Mark wrote in chapter 5, "A man possessed by an evil spirit came out of the tombs. This man lived among the tombs, and no one was ever strong enough to retain him, even with a chain." In 1978, when I was 28 years old, I needed a crisis intervention center. After a week of no sleep, my mind and behavior were spiraling out of control. My thoughts and actions became more and more irrational. It was my first episode of manic behavior. At that time, we knew what we call now bipolar disorder as manic depressive behavior. Not only was I out of control, but I was also scared. At that point, a friend of mine physically loaded me into his pickup and drove me to our local hospital. In a town of a population of 20,000 residents, the hospital had its own mental health ward, which was devoted to those in crisis. a psychiatrist immediately prescribed medication to calm me down and allow me to sleep. Medical care was there waiting for me. Continuing in chapter 5, verse 5, night and day in the tombs in the hills, he would howl and cut himself with stones. 2 years after my initial crisis, I was attending Colorado State University. I was living by myself in a small basement apartment. At this time, I was experiencing the depression side of manic depressive behavior. Instead of looking for a sharp stone to cut myself, I was staring at a full bottle of prescribed antipsychotic tranquilizers on top of depression. Would swallowing all these pills at once be the answer to my utter despair? As dawn neared, I promised God I would try to endure one more day. The next morning, I found my way to the student health center on campus. A psychiatrist was there waiting for me. Even though I did not have an appointment, he listened as I recounted my ups and downs in behavior in the past 2 years. He recognized my bipolar symptoms and prescribed treatment that very day. That day was the first day of my 40-year journey with this Colorado psychiatrist. As I learned from him, my disorder was not curable. It's in my DNA. In the early 1980s, my psychiatrist concluded that regular and restorative sleep is the key for overcoming manic depressive behaviors. In the last 5 years, research has finally confirmed these observations. Following his lead, I accepted a medication regime that has improved over the years. I have never wavered from his recommendations. My story is not typical for today's mental health care. When I most needed, my friend and God led me to immediate care. Can our friends and loved ones get immediate care in Topeka and Shawnee County for people in crisis? Since fall 2021, JUMP has encouraged administrators of Vallejo Behavioral Health Care here in Topeka to initiate plans for a crisis intervention center. At our 2023 Nehemiah Action Assembly, the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services pledged $3 million in state fundings for the proposed Crisis Intervention Center. State approval for the center is pending. Currently, JUMP is pursuing additional funding for the center. The proposed Crisis Intervention Center demonstrates JUMP's ability to turn injustices into action. Returning to Mark 5, they saw the very man who had been filled with many demons sitting there, fully dressed and completely sane, and they were filled with awe. Mark 5 fits my journey as a man with behavioral demons that were cast out over time. It demonstrates to me that bipolar disorder was there in biblical times. My demons were not cast out immediately, but I felt the healing hand of God through health professionals and friends. JUMP's work continues. On February 4th, Susanna Wesley Network members, these people were introduced, will be planning for our Nehemiah Action Assembly on May 6th. We'll be inviting you to gather with us at Washburn University's Leah Ringy to confront social injustices just as Nehemiah did. With our presence, we can join 1,000 other people of faith and make a statement that justice matters in our community. When one of our network members asks you to join us on May 6th, please say yes. In Micah chapter 6, we find, "And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God?" Thank you.